Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while, but in the last few weeks, a lot of stuff happened. I went to the EWCQ, and even though I didn't quite make it very far, I still got a few pretty cool promotional items for entering the tournament. And I'm really happy to show you my new deck that I will play for the next few weeks. And it is the deck that I showcased earlier in a combo video, but this is the deck list for now that I will play. It is Yummyghoul, which contains of Yummy cards and Mimighoul, and I guess we just jump straight into the deck. And I want to start with the Mimighoul engine, because this makes up the bigger part of the deck, and we're playing 3 dragon, because this is one of the best starters here. With just 1 dragon you can go for the full combo. You can bridge with the Mimighouls into the Yummies, and with the Yummies back into the Mimighouls. And what you also really need in this deck is at least 2 Archfiends. I decided to play only 2 of them because I feel like 3 is a bit bricky and I wanted to cut down the deck size to 40. So I think 2 is enough. And also the 1 Slime, the 1 Fairy, and the 1 Master. Every one of these is a requirement for the deck to function. You could always extend the engine by playing the armor or multiple fairies or even the 3rd Archfiend, but I think this is quite enough for the deck. And what you also need is the Mimighoul dungeon. It's just a very good starter. It adds a Mimighoul monster from the deck or grave, so it is also recursion, and it puts the opponent under a floodgate. So if he controls a face down monster, he cannot normal summon or attack with special monsters the turn they were summoned. Then you also have to play the Mimighoul Maker. I only play 2 of them. I think that's also enough. It's the cat again. Maker is a great starter. It summons a Mimighoul monster from your deck face down to your opponent, and you also get a Mimighoul to your hand that you can then special summon. And when your opponent special summons a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target a face down monster on the field to flip it up. So you can also use it in the opponent's turn to maybe flip up a dragon and nuke the whole board. And I do think that 3 is too much, because with this version I do only play 2 of the Archfiends, and most of the time 1 or even both are out of the deck. And as soon as I could use the 2nd Maker, I don't have enough names in the deck. So this is a good starter, but it is also searchable through the dragon or the rank 1. So I don't think that you need 3 of them. And I do like to play the 2 rooms. 1 should be enough to play, but I do like the 2nd one just to have some grind game. And with the dragon, if I summon it in the opponent's turn, I can just search for the 2nd room, and then I again have a disruption on the following turn. That's all for the Mimighoul cards. You can switch the ratios like you want. There's no harm in going for a bigger engine or for an even smaller engine. Let's just continue with the Yummy cards. These are the new ones. We are playing 3 Cupsies. This is the best starter of the engine. On summon you can add a Yummy card from the deck, which usually is the spell, and you can summon it from the hand if you control a level 2 Synchro monster or a Link 1, which you can easily accomplish with using the Mimighouls as Link 1 material for Relinquished Anima or even Almirage. And then I do play only 2 of the cookies. This is the second best because when it gets summoned by a synchro monster, it's a disruption and just one Lollipo. I don't think you need more than this because you can access the engine via the link ones you generate with the Mimiguls, but having these in your hand is always nice because they are free extenders. Then I had to play 2 surprise. I think you don't need the third one because this card is not a starter, but I don't want to play only one of them because sometimes you get 2 surprises in hand and you can use both effects, one to reborn and one to bounce, so having 2 of them is really nice. Also you can add this with Katsi for follow-up. And then just the one field spell, it's the minion that is the one that does the attack push. Is the one that does the attack push. So what I realized is that only 4 Yummy names on board with this is over 8k damage, which is really stupid. So I OTK'd many people yesterday at locals with this, even through Droll, because the Link monster activates it directly from the deck. And yeah, it's a strong card. Usually I do not end on this card. I start with the Yummy engine and use this as extension from the graveyard, and then I replace it with the field spell from the Mimiguls. And then for the non-engine, I play like 16 non-engine cards, I think, which you can also increase by removing some of the engine cards, or if you go over 40, which you can do. But here I just play the 3 Ash for the going first counter of the Mulcharmies, then 3 Imprum, this is mainly for the Paradise Smasher, 3 Droplet, because I want to play a board breaker approach with the new format, then 3 Thrust, 1 Talons. This is really strong with the Mimiguls because you can make these cards live on your own without your opponent having to interact with you. Then the 1 Feather Duster. It is not that bad if you draw it because with the Kapsi Yummy Way, it's called, I think, you can just discard this card. And then the 1 Called by the Grave, just to stop some hand traps. And what I really like is the 1 Instant Fusion, because you can summon the level 1 Relinquished Fusion, which can be a negate for Ash Blossom or Droll, and also you can link it off into a link 1 monster. And this can also function as a board breaker if you need to. So I really like the 1 Instant Fusion here. And this main deck is exactly 40 cards. It does not contain any Mulcharmies because I don't own any except the playmat. But you can take out like 1 Mimighoul room and I don't know, maybe the Feather Duster and add in some Mulcharmies. So there is room for them, but I really don't see any need to play them at the moment because I think the engine is really strong, and also game 2 and game 3 with siding in more board breakers, it is just enough most of the time. So let's get into the extra deck. I do play the 1 Relinquished Anima just as a link 1 that can bridge into the Yummies. Also 1 Almirage. I don't know if you really need this one. I have seen some lists that play the Link Spider. I maybe switch it out for it. And then 1 Gravity Binder. This is really cool because you can summon like a Mimighoul rank 1 in the extra monster zone and then link this off for the Gravity Binder, and you cannot use this one as link material this turn, but you can use it as synchro material. So there the mechanics of the Yummy synchro monsters really come in handy. Then 1 IP. I always try to place this for the Endboard. So one reason for this is just to make space on the board, and this is also an additional interruption with the SP. And what I did yesterday was my opponent played the Contact C, it's called, I think, and I just linked my monster with the Contact C into the IP Masquerena, so it wasn't that bad. Also, IP has arrows downwards, so you still can summon the Yummy Link monster. And speaking of, it is 2 Yummy Snatchy. You definitely need to play more than 1, but I don't think that you need to play 3 of them. Also, the extra deck space here is really tight, and because of that, it is only 1 Cupsy Yummy Way, 1 Lollipop, and 1 Cookie. The really cool thing about this is that the Lollipop can summon 2 level 1s back from the graveyard, and then you can overlay them into the Mimighoul Giant and access the Mimighoul engine this way. And in the opponent's turn, you can use the Cookie to flip face down 2 monsters from your opponent, so he is under the additional lock of the Mimighoul dungeon. Then 1 Herald of the Arclight. You could also maybe play 2 of them and switch out the Almirage, or play something like the Starham, the new Synchro monster, just to get better access for the Herald of Arclight. Also, because you do not play the Obedience School, you can always almost play this in your own turn. Then for the Xyz, it is 1 Giant Mimighoul. It is like Dual Drive. On summon, this adds a Mimighoul card from the deck, and also this has an ignition effect that lets you destroy cards on the field and burn your opponent. And in addition, your non-Xyz Mimighouls can attack directly. Then the 1 Mimighoul Throne. Most of the time I will summon the Mimighoul Master, link it off for the IP Masquerena, and then afterwards I summon the Throne to get back the Master from the graveyard. And this is also an interruption in the opponent's turn, because you can use its quick effect to equip it to the Master and then non-target bounce 1 or maybe also 2 cards. Then my favorite card in this deck is the Ripplebird. This one is a generic rank 1. It is also quite new. It just lets you detach a monster and change the battle position of a monster on the field. And what I learned is that this effect is not once per turn, and not soft, not hard, so you could even play multiples of this. And so you can switch up to 2 monsters your opponent controls into attack position and trigger the Mimighoul flip effects. Also, additionally, if all monsters you control are in defense, your opponent cannot attack, and if all monsters you control are in attack position, everyone gets an attack boost of 500. And then lastly, it is the, I don't know the name, it is the Millennium Ice Restrict, I think it's called, just as an instant fusion target, and to be insulated against Ash Blossom or Droll and Lockbird, or as I said, even as a bot breaker. And with the instant fusion, you can also summon the Master of Ham to summon a flip monster face down to your side. So you could possibly play this one with something like a Guard Dog, which isn't a fun card. It is another floodgate, but there are many other options with this instant fusion check. And then lastly, it is the side deck. This is for the current format, so I still play the 3 Lancias against Malice and also against Lunalight. I play the 3 Dark Rulers, mainly against the Yummy deck, 2 Lightning Storms, because when people play board breakers like Droplet or Imperm or such, when they go first and they have them in the deck, they will set it and I can clear maybe 2 or 3 cards in one go. And then the one Herald of the Abyss. So if the opponent, if he plays Lunalight, has like 1 Liger Dancer on field, I can out this with the Herald of the Abyss. Because I also play the triple evenly matched. For the same reason, if they have a board with multiple towers, I can use the evenly matched, and then the opponent has to banish everything but 1 card. So in a world where I have like 2 evenlies, I can use the first one, which maybe gets negated, then resolve the second one. And if I somehow manage to get to the Herald, then I outed the whole board, but it's just some one-off scenario maybe, but I don't think that there will be many Lunalight players, but still I do quite enjoy the evenly matched in the side deck, also against other decks, because even though you lose your battle phase, you still bait out the interruptions from your opponent early. And then for the fun cards, there is 1 Sanctum for the Lancia as a thrust target. A second thrust target is the D-Barrier, and then the third is the Featherstorm, because conveniently enough, you do play a Wind Beast. So there are many ways where even if you get like Mulcharmid or anything, you can just put the opponent under a floodgate and skip the turn. Okay, so I want to show you 1 test hand just to show how the engines can function together. And if you enjoy the video, consider leaving a like, maybe also subscribe so you will not miss any future content. Also, I will put up a video about my experience at the EU WCQ. I will talk about the Edison side event mainly, but also I will recap a little bit about the main event, and I hope it's enough so that it is really randomized. Let's do a final cut and draw a 5-card hand. Yeah, that is quite okay. We do have 2 starters as well as 2 extenders. So let's put it a bit further down. We're starting with the normal summon of Dragon, activating its effect on summon to add a Mimighoul spell or trap, which in this case is the Maker. Then we can activate the Maker. Let's just stick to the Mimighoul cards for now, revealing the Archfiend and the Slime. And now the opponent chooses randomly which one of them they will get face down to the board. You will get the other one to the hand, and then you can special summon any Mimighoul from the hand. And in the best case scenario, you would give the opponent the Slime to summon the Archfiend to trigger the Slime. But even the bad scenario, let's play this one out. We give him the Archfiend and get the Slime ourselves. And now we can summon like the second dragon from the hand, and then use the effect of Slime to summon it to the opponent's side of the field. Then use both dragons to overlay into the Ripplebird in the extra monster zone. Detach 1, target the Slime, flip this one face up. Now this one triggers, and we get to special summon a Mimighoul monster from the deck, which usually is the master, and then this switches sides. On summon, the master will trigger, adding ourselves a Mimighoul monster from the deck. Because we already have the fairy, which you normally would add, we can now add a second Archfiend. And now we can use the Rippled Bird a second time to flip up the Archfiend, which again triggers. So now we are getting to draw a card. The opponent has to send a card from their hand to the graveyard, and this again switches the side. Now we can link off the Ripple Bird because it is a non-link monster in the EMZ into the Gravity Binder. We can also use the Instant Fusion, but at this point I don't think that there is any Droll or Mulcharmy, so we can have it as a backup and keep it in our hand. Now we can synchro summon the Gravity Binder with the Slime. Into Capsi. Let's put it right here. Activate the effect of Capsi. We could even, before we do this, activate the effect of Archfiend to set it to the opponent's field. So this is not, so he cannot imperm the Capsi. And we already have Capsi in hand, so we will add a Lollipo and the Cookie, which are the remaining two names, adding ourselves those to our hand. And I guess let's just discard the Instant Fusion. Now let's use the Capsi to link summon into the link 1, which is Snatchy, activating its effect on summon to place the Yummy Field Spell face up. Then we use the Capsi to special summon, activating its effect on the field to add a Yummy card. And even if he has a Veiler or something, we can just use the Snatchy to quick synchro and dodge the negation effect. Then we can add the Yummy Surprise, which is one more interruption or one more extension. I guess let's special summon the Cookie and link this one into a second Snatchy. I really like to have two Snatchies in the graveyard because the synchro monsters as well as the surprise does not target. So even if the opponent wants to remove one Snatchy with a Bestial, we can also, or instead, summon the second one. Then we can synchro summon into the Lollipo, which triggers on summon. Again, non-target to summon back two Yummies from the graveyard, negating their effects. But we do not need them. At this point, we can just overlay those two and summon the Mimighoul Giant, activating the Giant's effect on summon to add a Mimighoul card. And here we are missing both the Mimighoul room and dungeon. So we could add either one of them, but I like the dungeon more as a endboard piece because we can flip face down the enemy monsters with the Cookie way. But if you want to, you could also add the room and special summon a Mimighoul Dragon to the opponent's side of the field in face down position, and in addition you can Book of Moon a monster from them non-target and then flip it face up with the master. But let's just go with the dungeon in this case. Alright, then okay, now we want to remove the master from the field. I realized I summoned this one into the wrong zone because I want to have the link arrow. Now I can do a link to for the IP, summon the fairy from hand, overlay, oops, both of these into throne, activate the effect of throne, detaching the archfiend and summoning back the master. So this again is a additional interruption. Then we can activate the Mimighoul dungeon. Okay, here is a archfiend set. We can activate the effect of dungeon to add back from the graveyard any Mimighoul monster, or we can also add it from the deck. Let's see, we have only one Mimighoul dragon in the deck. Everything is in the graveyard at this point. So let's just add a dragon from the grave as follow-up, so we can add the second room for the next turn. And this looks like the final end board. We can still summon the Lollipop. We didn't had to use it here. Set the trap, set the quick play spell, and pass to our opponent. That was my deck profile and combo guide for the Yummyghoul deck. Also shoutouts to my girlfriend who is who is behind the camera this time, and also shoutouts to Adrian who provided all those Yummy cards and all the Justice Hunters cards for our entire local group, and hope you enjoyed. See you the next time. Bye bye.